Okay, hi again. Here we go. How color, all of this stuff we've talked about from a scientific perspective, impacts our lighting design is now what we're going to talk about. Okay? There are two types of color mixing. This is super important. Okay? There's subtractive mixing. That's what you do with Miss Amanda in scenic painting class, right? Miss Stewart does subtractive mixing. That's when you mix pigments like paint. Okay? We also are technically doing subtractive mixing if we stack two gel colors on top of each other. The reason it's called subtractive mixing is that you're taking that white beam of light, you're putting that gel in it, and you're subtracting all of the colors except for whatever color that gel is, and that's the only color that's coming through after you've subtracted it all, okay? So that is subtractive mixing, putting a gel in front of a white light, or mixing up some paint in order to subtract all of the colors except for whatever color that paint is from the light that is bouncing off of that object into your eyeball and hitting your cones, okay? The other side of the coin is additive mixing, and this is what we played with in class with the LED fixtures, okay? So additive mixing is, I want some of this red LED and some of this green LED. I'm going to mix those two sources of color together and I'm going to get yellow. That's additive mixing, okay? It's also what happens if I shine two lights overlapping each other. It's what's going to happen in that overlap between them. You're additive mixing. You're adding more colors of light together. If you add all of the colors of light together, you get white because it's adding up all of those colors, okay? So let's look at the color wheels for both of these flavors of color theory, okay? So subtractive mixing, this is your magenta, cyan, and yellow that Echo was drawing with, okay? So she was drawing with the magenta over here and the yellow in order to get that middle area in between that was the red, okay? We also have like magenta and cyan. We mix those together and get blue. When we subtract all the colors at the same time, we end up with black. If we've subtracted out all of the colors of light, then it's all being absorbed, and what your eye is going to perceive is black. Okay? So that is subtractive mixing. Additive mixing is what we do with light, okay? So when people talk about mixing color for light, they're talking about additive mixing. When they talk about mixing color with paint, they're talking about subtractive mixing. Our primary colors in light are RGB, red, green, and blue. These are the colors that our primary LEDs are in, right? When we were mixing colors on our psych in Light Lab, they were red, blue, and green, plus amber, that we were mixing together to get that whole range of colors, okay? So that is additive mixing, primary colors, RGB, red, green, and blue. Okay? When we talk about subtractive mixing with lighting design, we're talking about gel. Okay? So gel is a plastic filter with color in it. It's made by a bunch of different companies, although a lot of them are all owned by Rosco now. The two main companies for gel are Rosco and Lee. Rosco is the standard generally for theater, and then Lee colors are used much, much more for film. So since you're in a Hollywood town, you're going to find about half and half out in the world. But in general, theaters stock Rosco colors. Those are theatrically used extensively. But Lee has like a few colors that theater designers really love, and then a lot of film and TV designers will use those Lee colors as well. And Rosco also has a specific film and TV line. So those are your companies that manufacture gel. Those gel colors are arranged in a swatch book, okay? So a swatch is just a little sample, right? You know that from costume class. A swatch of fabric is like a little square of fabric to give you the idea of what the rest of the fabric looks like. We have swatch books for gel. You've seen them in the classroom, I'm sure, where I have that book and it has all the colors in it. And it's just like a sampler of all of the colors that that company makes so that you can pick out which ones you want, and then you can have your master electrician order them in order to put them in front of your lights for your show. So all of our colors in our swatch book are identified by a color number. They're arranged in the swatch book by hue, typically, even though the numbers are not necessarily sequential. So in the Roscoe swatch book, the numbering is pretty standard. So we have the numbers starting at 01, 02, 03, all the way up to 99, 100, and then there are some special gels that are past 100, but 99 is brown and right before, or no, 99 is gray. It's neutral density, no color. But everything else is arranged by color and number in between. However, Roscoe had the problem of there's only 100 numbers between 1 and 100, and we want to add more colors in between. And so the way that they went about that was we added in a number in between two numbers by putting a 3 in front of it. Strange but true. So the counting in the order of colors for Roscoe goes, for example, R60, R360, R61, R361, R62, R362, R63, etc., because they've added in all of those in-between colors in that light blue range. There are ranges where it's just like 18, 19, 20, 21, no in-betweeny colors. But in some of the palettes that we use a lot, they have those in-between colors. Those are the 300 series, and they fit in between the two regular numbers. Life is weird. It's confusing. You'll get it when I send you to the filing cabinet, and you're like, oh, the 300s are in between. I'm like, yep, that's what we do. These color numbers become a shorthand for lighting designers, okay? So I know what those different colors are because I've been doing this for 15 years, 20 years, whatever. Let's not talk about it. So I've been referring to R54, which is a light lavender, as R54. And to me, that just means the specific shade of lavender that when you put that gel in front of an incandescent light, you get coming out of it. And so it becomes a game then for people to like try and pick what color it is. So that's referencing a specific hue and saturation. Your gel in your swatch book, you also get technical data information. So each color, in addition to the swatch, is going to have a diagram of how it filters light. One second, let me get a swatch book. This is my fancy, expensive swatch book. You can look at, as an example, right? You can look at 04 right here. And I'll take a picture of this and put it up on your screen so you don't have to look at it through me. So 04, medium bastard amber, classy title, has a transmission number. That's how much light comes through. And it has a wavelength map that's showing you what part of the light ray is coming through. Okay, as another example, we have this diagram on the slide, right? That's for middle rose, which is R44. And that has a transmission of 26. And then it has the wavelength map, which is showing you that you have everything from a little bit of this purpley blue, right, of those short wavelengths. And then you have some of this pink and orange mixed in with that purpley blue. And when you mix those two things together, you're going to get a pretty purpley pink color. And it's blocking all of this light out. So the resulting color is going to be pretty saturate, right? It's going to be mostly color, not a lot of white light, because all of this part of the spectrum is blocked. Let me go pull up 44 for you. 44, middle rose, right? Basically magenta, okay? So that's 44, aka tap dancing pink, right? So that diagram that you're looking at there is the same as this one here in my swatch book. That's telling me how much transmission, so how much light is going to get through. In this case, it's a different number than that. No, it is the same, 26%. and then what wavelengths are coming through. So that can be helpful if you're trying to mix two colors together, because then you can see how those wavelengths are going to add together and like do some brain math. Or you can see like how much light is even getting through. Do I need to use a brighter fixture in order to get enough light on stage? Let's do a couple of examples. All right, what color do we think this is going to be? Did you guess? Okay. So what this is a pretty light color, right? So it's not super saturate, but it doesn't have as much green as it has red and purple. So it's kind of a light color. This is our 333 blush pink. There it is, okay? So blush pink has a transmission of 71, right? Because a lot of light is getting through. It's not blocking it out. It's letting it all come through. So 71% of the light is getting through. And more of it is this purpley color. More of it is this pinky yellowy color. Less of it is the green, okay? So that is blush pink. Let's look at another one. Ooh, what's this one? All right, so you guess, and then I'll explain. Did you guess it? Great. So this one is where this one was desaturated, right? It was a tint. It was barely any color at all. This one is very saturate because you're not letting a lot of light through. Like there's like absolutely no of the blue purple, right? And there's not any of the yellow red, okay? So this color is going to be a super dark color, and let me show you which one it is. You can't even read the map through it. It's so saturated, okay? There it is. So that is primary green R91, okay? So it's super saturated. It's blocking out all kinds of light, all right? But letting that green, so right here, that's the only light that it's really letting through. All right, let's do one more. All right, here we go. All right, did you guess it? Do you know? Okay, so this one has not very much blue-purple, right? But it has a lot of red and yellow, okay? A lot of red and yellow are coming through. Not very much green, but like a lot of this like medium yellow is making its way in. Not green or blue, maybe a little bit of the pinky magenta stuff, but not a ton. So mostly orangey, yellowy, okay? And so this one is our 318, Mayan Sun. Okay, that's R318. It has an overall transmission of 52%, and it's letting through mostly that yellowy orangey part of the spectrum, a little bit from the ultraviolet side, but not blue or yellow. Okay, so, or not blue, I'm sorry, not blue or green. Mayan Sun. All right, cool. Wasn't that fun having a guess and check? So now I want to show you 3 examples. I think I have 3. Yeah, 3 examples of how lighting designers use color in a scene, okay? So here's a first example, right? So this is a production called Rhapsody by a lighting designer called Adam Clark. I don't know this guy. I just found this online. And he is using R21 for backlight, okay? So that's this light that's on their backs, right? That's the light that's coming from behind their head. He's using R58 for that stage right side light. So he's using that purple, purpley magenta, you see, on the sides of their garments, that stage right side light, beautiful. He's using R370 blue-green on the other side light, right? So he's got that magenta, purple, lavender of R58 on this side, and he's got that cyan R370 on the other side, and then he's using a little bit of R33, and that is just blending together their faces and helping make them more visible, okay? So that's a really cool use of color throughout the palette, right? This is a production of Mackinac. The lighting designer is Alec Bernstein. I don't know him, but I found this picture of his show in Chicago. And he's using another 4 colors. So he's using R385, and that is giving him this nice purpley blue backlight situation, right? You can kind of see where it's fading around the edges of these pools of light. He's using RO2, so that's the white light that we're seeing on people's faces. And then that's combined with some no color regular fixtures, but that all of that illumination kind of white light fill, right, is coming from that RO2. He's got some 375, and that's also in the backlight, so that's mixing with the R385. He's using some 375 as well. And then he's using some R89 on the scenery, right, or on this girl who's hanging out behind everybody. So R89, Leo, that's enough. R89 is a green. It's kind of a yellowy green, so it's like a little bit of a warm green. And he's using that to light the scenery and sort of give a different layer of dimension, right? And you can also see it looks like he's got maybe some gobos with that green in them that are texturing other parts of the world, okay? So that's another palette of color. And here's one last one, and they're using a ton of colors. So this is a production called 7 Stories, which I have no idea what that's about. Ilia Steven is the lighting designer. And they use vivid color choices, less saturated colors on the actors, right? So the actors are not those brighter colors. There are the R04 and the R62 that are less saturate. And then using really bright saturate colors for all of these other color mixes, right? So when you look at something like this, you're seeing like the R332, the R50 shining from one side, and then from the other side, you see in the shadow here is the R68 that's sort of coming through in the shadow from where this light is, and then you see this kind of purple where those two colors are mixing together on the surface of the set. So using this palette of colors, the designer has achieved a number of different colors and different gradients of color on the different textures of the set, right? You're able to get this when the two colors blend together, and then you get this is the one color that it came from, and that is the other color that it came from, right? And this is slightly different from this. And so we're using a whole palette of colors, but we're also mixing them together so you see even more dimension. And the way that this designer has used color actually increases the dimension in the set, which is pretty cool. Very impressive. So there you go. That is a lovely introduction to color. Take a few minutes and organize your notes, and then come back and meet up with us around 4 o'clock, and we'll do a Kahoot to review all of this that we've talked about today, as well as the stuff from last week, and then the light plot information from the week before. So those 3 things, the light plot, the lamps, and then this lecture about color are going to be on our next quiz, which, because we're doing virtual teaching, whatever, right? Because we're doing distance learning, distance instruction, your next quiz, so next week when we take our quiz, it's going to be open notes so that it is equally fair for everyone, okay? So you may use your notes when you take the quiz, but that means you should go back and review your notes and make sure that they have all the stuff in them that you need them to have. So come back and see me around 4 o'clock. We'll do a fun and exciting Kahoot where you can all try and beat Connor, and then we will head onward into the great unknown. Okay, great. I'll see you in a little while. Bye.